From our 7 Tasmania studios, your nightly news with Peter Murphy begins now.
A Tasmanian family is pleading for a second chance after being told they're facing deportation through no fault of their own. Time is running out for the Launceston restaurant owner and her 3 children who have called Australia home for nearly a decade.
A hard-working family thrown into the unknown.
It's the uncertainty that just scares me.
Lamvo, her siblings and her mother have called Tasmania home for the past 8 years. They've worked, studied at university and added their flair to Mekong Restaurant, a CBD staple.
Especially Mum. Mum loves cooking, and actually all the recipes come from my grandma.
But the family is now preparing to pack up and leave Launceston and the customers they adore.
They come in and I know exactly what they want, exactly where they want to see.
They say after receiving incorrect advice from a paid migration agent, their visa extension has been denied.
We trusted him so much that we thought, okay, whatever he advised us, we do.
It means the door to permanent residency, as well as their restaurant, may be closed for good.
All of a sudden, it's one decision and one mistake, and then they want us to go. How can we go?
With time ticking, customers and the community are rallying behind them. Support letters, a petition with more than 1,000 signatures, hoping to keep the family where they feel they belong.
Overwhelming. I didn't know that there's so many people care.
Their fate now lies in the hands of the Immigration Minister. Federal Bass MP Bridget Archer says her office has met with the family and is making urgent representation to the Minister's office and is doing all she can to assist. The family pleading for a lifeline.
One chance, please.
Victoria Easto, 7 Tasmania News.
The Royal Hobart Hospital's emergency department is once again under pressure following a surge in demand over the weekend. Unions say staff are being asked to work on days off to help ease the burden, with the state government admitting the situation isn't ideal.
Tasmania's biggest hospital once again feeling the pressure of the winter blues.
My understanding is that there is particularly high demand for emergency services at the Royal at the minute.
It's worse than it's ever been. It continues to get worse every day.
The Health Department confirming the Royal is under strain due to a surge in presentations. One union claiming ramping is reaching new levels.
We had reports from members that a community member was ramped with paramedic members of ours for 19 hours.
The department says that patient has now been admitted and is getting the appropriate care. Staff are also receiving text messages pleading with them to come to work. The request putting workers in a tough spot.
Makes nurses, midwives and their healthcare colleagues think about the pressure that their colleagues would be under if they are on shift.
It's not ideal, but when the Royal experiences higher levels of demand, then it obviously needs higher levels of staff.
Despite the squeeze, the state government is confident people are getting the right care.
My understanding is that people are being seen, they're being triaged appropriately.
Tasmanians with non-urgent issues are being advised to stay away from the hospital and seek care elsewhere. Unions warn that without adequate investment, scenes like this weekend will become more frequent.
I don't think that this situation is unprecedented. I think it's somewhat become the new normal.
Lowering demand takes time. So in the first instance, the government needs to hire enough staff to meet the demand.
No quick fix for a long-term fever. John Hunt, 7 Tasmania News.
A Tasmanian mother has accused the state government of neglecting social housing tenants, saying she's in desperate need of modifications to cater for her wheelchair-bound son. Belinda Briggs says she contacted the government a year ago seeking a bathroom refit and permanent ramp. The request was denied, leaving her no choice but to set up a makeshift solution.
I don't know how long it's going to last before it actually gives way, and if it gives way, well then I have no way of getting my son in and out of the home.
Our right priorities plan is 215 social housing dwellings across Tasmania that could be immediately fixed. Those have been costed in our right priorities plan.
The state government disputing the figure, saying Homes Tasmania through Housing Connect services works with all clients as closely as possible to make sure properties are fit for purpose. Local musicians have won bragging rights for another year after beating the media in an annual footy showdown. The thrilling clash was all for a good cause, raising money to bolster support for disadvantaged Tasmanians.
Another year, another chance to claim victory over a long-term rival. A team of Tasmanian musicians bringing their A-game against local media in the annual RecLink Community Cup.
It started 30 years ago in Melbourne, and then 8 years ago the Melbourne leg sort of decided to go national. They brought it to Tasmania as well as several other states.
It's been a calendar highlight ever since. The Van Diemen Dogs and Ramonas putting on a show long before the first siren sounded.
Umpire, get a card out. Oh, he could have laid one there.
It's almost like what football used to be, you know, the banners, the streamers, the camaraderie, and the fact that we don't take the game too seriously.
But behind the mischief lies a meaningful cause, the Cup raising awareness and funds for RecLink Australia.
It allows us to work with those people that need it most, homeless, people with a disability, migrants, transitioning prisoners. It's huge for us.
There was $500,000 in this year's budget for the next 3 years for RecLink to deliver programs right across Tasmania, south, north and northwest, helping disadvantaged people who might not otherwise get access to sport and recreation programs.
On the field, the Dogs won the coin toss but fumbled the bounce, with the Ramonas scoring first but unable to keep the lead. The musicians winning by 3 points in a coincidental repeat of last year's result. Brianna Boylan, 7 Tasmania News.
More than 100 talented swimmers have paddled their way to glory in this year's Masters Swimming Championships, many strapping on their goggles, eager to touch the wall first, while for others it was all about the fun of the games.
Being thrown in the deep end, no challenge for these swimming masters.
A competitive edge, this stuff here, you know, when we're older doesn't mean we want to stop competing.
From ages 22 to 87, competitors putting on the ultimate masterclass for the State Winter Championships, with many diving back into the pool and a sport they love.
In 2017 I fractured my spine and I had to do swimming, was all I could do to get going again. I had swam as a younger kid, but not for 30 odd years.
Proving there's no limit on the quest for glory.
I take it very seriously, like I'm very competitive, and that's part of what I've loved coming back to it, is having goals to achieve.
You know, competitive against each other, but you can also just go for your personal best times.
But when the caps are off, it's the friendship outside the pool which matters most.
It's all about friendship, fitness and fun, so it sends that great message of mental health as well as physical health.
Victoria Easto, 7 Tasmania News.
A Tasmanian doll competition, thought to be the largest in Australia, has attracted creators from all over the country. Now in its 40th year, the event is kept alive by a small community of people with a passion for porcelain.
What looks like a baby in a peaceful slumber is actually an artificial creation entered in Hobart's 40th doll show.
Every doll is unique in how they're painted, so not every eyebrow is the same, not every eyelash is the same, and not all the mouths are the same.
The two-day event deemed Australia's largest doll judging competition.
People don't often understand the amount of work to make the antique reproductions and the firings and making the shoes, socks, wigs.
The exhibit's slightly smaller than previous years, with 70 designs on show. Shirley Billett adding to her collection of ribbons across the modern doll, antique reproduction and teddy bear categories.
I was so surprised, I was a bit overwhelmed, but I've come down off my high horse today, so I'm just me again.
25 stall holders also on ground for attendees looking to take a piece of the magic home with them.
I was looking for a model for my clothing, and it became an addiction to create dolls, so it's my husband's fault. He got me into making dolls.
But with the niche hobbies numbers starting to dwindle, the community is hoping to see more young people dabbling in doll creation. Brianna Boylan, 7 Tasmania News.
Tasmania have had another big win in the Coates Talent League, but it's come at a cost, with rising star Colby McKercher injured in the win over Calder. He was taken from the ground in the third quarter after appearing to hurt his foot in a tackle. The Devils had too much firepower up forward for the Cannons' defence, taking a 5-goal lead into half-time. That continued into the second half, with the home side tuning up for the finals in style. Tasmania eventually winning 111-41, also boosting their chances of winning the minor premiership. Launceston's run to the finals could be dealt a blow, with 2 players set to be scrutinised by the match review officer. Captain Brodie Pulverman referred to the MRO after he allegedly threw sand into the eyes of North Hobart's Angus Norton. Teammate Jaden Hines will be investigated after making contact with injured Norton seconds later. A decision on whether the duo will be sanctioned is expected tomorrow. Devonport is just a few games away from claiming another NPL Tasmania title after thumping Riverside last night. It took the Strikers just 5 minutes to open the scoring, with the ladder leaders racing to a 3-0 lead inside the first 30 minutes. The 6-0 victory puts Devonport 9 points clear of Glenorchy with 4 games left to play. Meanwhile, a boil-over looked on the cards when winless Launceston United scored first against Clarence, but the 10-man Zebras managed to fight back from going a goal down to win 2-1. King Island's Stuart McSwain, however, has crashed out at the 1500-metre event by the barest of margins. The Olympic runner started strongly in his heat, sitting out in front for most of the race, but he was caught on the last lap, fading away at the end. Clocking a time of 3 minutes 36, McSwain finished 7th, just 1 position shy of a spot in the semi-finals. It wasn't all bad news for Australia though in the event, with Adam Spencer and Matthew Ramsden both through to the next stage.
Today, mild conditions continue with minimum temperatures generally 2 to 6 degrees above average. Hobart, our state's capital, with 17 degrees, 17 also for Launceston, Devonport 15 and Burnie 16. The state's top friendly beaches and St Helens with 18 degrees, 17 for St Helens, Maria Island and Grove. King Island 15, 14 on Flinders Island and for Lowhead. Luncheon Hill and Strawn 13, Lyweni 12 degrees. Onshore winds pushing cloud over the west with some high clouds streaming over the south, while the rest of the state is mostly cloud-free. Areas of cloud over southeastern Australia and southwestern WA, with patchy mid to high level cloud over central parts of WA. The rest of the nation is, however, mostly cloud-free. Tomorrow, a cold front approaches Tasmania from the west. The situation is weakly forced over much of Australia, with several weak troughs and highs expected. Northwesterly winds 15 to 25 knots, reaching up to 30 knots in the west. The west and south can expect southwesterly swells up to 4 metres, southwesterly swells up to 3 metres offshore in the south. There is a strong wind warning tomorrow between Tasman Island to Sandy Cape and also for the far northwest coast. Tomorrow, Hobart, partly cloudy conditions with 18, 16 in Dover, 17 is the top for Ooze. Showers increasing in the north, 16 in Launceston, 15 for Devonport, 14 is the top for Scottsdale. Showers increasing in Burnie with 14, showery also for Strawn and Stanley. St Helens, partly cloudy, 17, Swansea 18 degrees, cloudy also in Ross with 16. Tuesday, we can expect showers contracting to the west and northeast during the afternoon. Wednesday, showers about the west and Bass Strait Islands extending statewide during the day, then easing and contracting to the west and far south. We can expect some patchy morning frost. Thursday, showery conditions continue about the west and Bass Strait Islands, extending to the north during the morning with patchy morning frost and fog, otherwise mainly fine. Taking a look now to the mainland tomorrow, 18 and possible showers in Melbourne, 21 and mostly sunny in Sydney, developing showers in Adelaide, and that glorious sunshine continues in Darwin with 33 degrees. And currently it's partly cloudy with 13 in Hobart, 11 mostly clear in Launceston, and partly cloudy with 12 in Devonport. Now, Murph, I've been watching you on the telly for a very long time. I believe you may have started the year I was born. Certainly not stating you're old, but it has been a pure delight to share the studio with you this weekend.
Well, Kaya, thanks very much for saying that, and I have to notice that you are getting very, very comfortable on that weather set. Time is ticking. Thanks for joining us. Good night.